Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining me. This is Ciara from Ciara T Designs, and today I have a video for you on the ScrapbookPal YouTube channel. So let's jump right in. So I am making these beautiful hot foiled cards today, and I'm going to walk you through that. I am using the Glimmer hot foil system, and I do kind of a hinge method here. So I have the Pinkfresh Studios Folk Garden hot foil plate, and I have a piece of gold foil and my cardstock on there, and I am using a piece of cardstock that's slightly bigger than my card, which will be two A2 size cards. I am going to make two cards for this. And I'm gonna set it up here, and I've got it going on, and I'm got it all heated up, and I'm just gonna put it through my Sizzix Big Shot. So you do need some kind of die cutting machine for this. I choose to use the Sizzix, but there are many that work. You can check the details on the Glimmer hot foil machine as to which die cutting machines work with it. And I just ran it through slowly through my die cutting machine just to impress the foil onto the paper. And then I'm going to lift it off and show you. So I am going to do the same thing again. I'm not going to show you all of the steps twice, but I'm going to do two cards because I want to use the die and show you how that looks. But here you can see that I did use a piece of cardstock that's actually bigger than the design so that I can trim it down later. And I did it again second time with the black card. I used black foil on this one, same white cardstock, but I used gold foil and black foil because I just kind of wanted to show you a different look with the same plate. Even though I'm using all the exact same materials, I'm just creating two different cards with them. So I'm going to take the hot foil plate off again, and it has that magnet so you can kind of take it off because it is quite warm. Excuse me. And then I'm going to lift off the black foil and show you this one. And the black foil doesn't quite pick up as much shine as the gold one does, but I promise in person it's just as shiny. It's quite stunning. And so here I have the matching Pinkfresh Studios stencil. And it's got four different stencils, so you can use that to do different layers. So in this one, I'm using, I believe this is Mowed Lawn Distress. Yes, it is. Distress Oxide ink with a blending brush, and I'm using the first stencil to do all of the big leaves around the design. And then there's a second layering stencil that would go over top of this, which I'm going to use a different green, a darker green. So I'm going to do this like lineup style here. So we do the first one, and then I'm going to do the second panel right away, just because I find it easier if I do it step by step together. Otherwise, I get a little bit lost. So I kind of do it assembly line style. So I'm going to adhere down my stencil to the cardstock on the front and the back. And then I'm just going to blend on that same Mowed Lawn for the light leaves. So this is a beautiful set. There's also a stamp set. I don't have it in this video, but there's also a matching stamp set. So this is like a 4-step set of products that work with this beautiful folk garden design that just turns out super stunning. And the products work beautifully together. Pinkfresh Studios is bringing out so many amazing layering stencils and layering items that just go beautifully together that I think that you really get a really great card with multiple things, and you can use it in so many different ways. I'm going to show you two different ways that I'm going to use it in this instance, but there are so many ways to use these, and I think they're just stunning. So this is the second stencil, and it's layering up to give you a little more dimension to your leaves. So it kind of, I chose a darker green in this case. I'm going to use Rustic Wilderness to go over all of my leaves. And again, I already did it on the one on the right-hand side there. You can kind of see it because I'm not going to show you every step multiple times. But yes, I'm just going to blend with a different blending brush and go over it in Rustic Wilderness, just adding some extra to the centers. I find that that gives you a lot more depth and dimension to the images that I think turns out really stunning. So I'm just going to go over it there and add that in all the areas. And then we're going to remove that stencil and do the little flowers because there is a few of those as well. So we've got the other, this is again, it's another stencil. This is a 4 stencil set. And here we're going to use, this is Kitsch Flamingo that we're using now. And we're going to do the first layer of all the little buds there in that Kitsch Flamingo because I love that color. And then this is the last stencil, which is the 4th stencil. And I'm going to use Picked Raspberry for this one. And you can see that I've already kind of adhered it there. And now that the stencils are getting a bit less detailed, it's even easier to stick down your stencil because there's not as many holes you're worried about trying to cover there. So we're going to bring in the picked raspberry now and do just those little areas in that stencil. And then we're kind of finished this part of the design. So that's really cool. So we're gonna move on now. We're gonna remove the stencil and then I'm gonna show you how pretty that looks with all the colors there. And I'm gonna do the second stencil on, or sorry, the fourth stencil on the second panel because I am going to make two cards. I really wanted to show you one by itself without the die, and then I wanted to kind of show you a really cool layout and trick that I use when you use a die and have a lot of individual flowers kind of just like hanging out together, because it cuts out all those flowers separately, or greenery separately. And I think that that might be a little intimidating if you're not really sure how you want to lay it out. So I really wanted to give you a look at both options so you can see that this is a very versatile product. So I ran that through my die cutting machine, just the one panel, and I'm going to see you can pop all of these out and you get all these different elements of these beautiful greenery and flowers that you've done this ink blending on, and I just think that they're so pretty. But this is the die, and it does cut them all out like individually. So you can either have the panel on the left-hand side there that's inked up and beautiful and it's kind of on its own and it's all like a stunning background with some foiling and whatnot. Or you can bring in the die in this instance and cut all those pieces out and then kind of arrange them however you like on the panel and really create your own like floral motif going on there. So I think that that's just stunning. And this die even cuts out these kind of centerpieces. So you even get a lot of, if you did a colored background behind it or something, you get a lot of extra see-through there, which I think is just awesome. So I am going to show you a way that I kind of use this as a bit of a trick, a little tip here. This is press and seal. It's like a type of saran wrap. And when I've laid out a design that I really like and I'm scared I'm going to lose it, I actually use this on top of my design so that I can hold it in place so I can adhere it a lot easier. Because I find otherwise I have a tendency to forget my original design a little bit, and then I get to where I don't remember how I kind of had everything laid out. And after I spent a bunch of time laying all of the items out, that's a little deterring for me. So this is kind of my trick. So now I'll bring in my liquid glue. This is the Beary Art Glue. And I just adhere down the areas that are laying on top of each other. And this is a really good way to keep it all together and just adhere the areas that need to be adhered to each other that you're not going to see because they're behind the other items, but now they won't move on you. So they're all adhered. So when I go and pull off the press and seal afterwards, they're all already adhered. So they're not going to lift up or go anywhere, which I think is a pretty cool idea here. And this Beary Art Glue is new to me. This is actually the first time I've excuse me, this is the first time I've used it, and I love the tip. It's got this really thin tip that the pen goes in, and you get like just tiny amounts of glue, and I'm just in love with how easily this works and how it doesn't clog and it doesn't do anything like that. I just think that that's such an amazing product that, I mean, is brand new to me, but I'll give you an update as I've used it a few more times here. And I did add some thin 3D foam squares behind my images here. I really wanted there to be a little more dimension in this because we went and cut all those pieces apart. So why not add as much dimension as you can? So that's what I did here. I just trimmed out a couple for those little leaves that stick really far out, and then I've got some bigger ones in the centers, and I'm just pulling off the backing sheets. I do find that they stick to me. I kind of have fun pulling them off, but I love the dimension that they add, and I think it's just so worth the time that it takes to kind of stick them all over the place on this. And then we're going to adhere it down to the front of the card, and I'm going to show you how easily this press and seal kind of works to keep your design together. And you can see that to the right of my hand there that there's just one little leaf that fell off. I'm just going to adhere that down later. I'm just going to add it back into the design. I'm not sure where it was originally, but I'm going to add it back into the design, and then you're going to see how this really works well. So here I'm just lining it back up, and then I'm going to press it down so that the 3D foam squares can adhere to the cardstock. And I just press that down, and then I'm just going to lift this up off, and look how beautiful that turned out. And I didn't have to stress about the fact that my design might fall apart or it might not go back in the way that I kind of designed it. And then I just have that little green leaf, and I'm just trying to figure out where I'm going to put it. I end up putting it up to the top here. Also, I'm going to trim off any of the areas that are hanging off of the card. So in that, I did actually bring in the little pink flower that's hanging off of the end there. It's hanging off to the left hand side because I generally trim off things that are hanging off of the card so that it fits in my standard sized envelope. But I am going to bring in that flower that I'm trimming off right now and bring it up into the top as well, just to add that little bit of pink back in. because this is quite a leafy bouquet, which is stunning. I love the pink, so I wanted to add that back in. And then on the second one, I just cut that out with a essentials rectangle and just gonna hear that down on the base. So it was just two designs with all the exact same products. So you could kind of see like they can be quite versatile. You can do this where it's just this stunning background. We're gonna add a sentiment, add some gems, and it's gonna be a little bit easier to put together because all we had to do was the ink blending. Or if you want to get a little more into it, you can have the die and you can cut all of those pieces and create whatever kind of design you like. So I did use a different hot foil plate out of my stash, and I just adhered down that thank you in the same foils that I used for the background. And then I adhered down all these little gems. These are also Pinkfresh Studios. These are the Pinkfresh Studios Glacier jewels, which the store now has, which I think is awesome. You need to go and check out all the beautiful gems and everything that's coming into the ScrapbookPal store. There's some wonderful stuff coming in there. It's just amazing. All the new products come out every Friday, and it's just super exciting to see what comes into the store because it's like a kid in a candy store when I get to go through and pick out some stuff. But yes, these gems are new to the store, so make sure you check them out. Pinkfresh Studio has some beautiful jewels, and I kind of just added them around. And I on this one card with all the bouquet, I kind of just tucked them under the leaves a little bit. I thought that they would be quite pretty. Some of them are tucked under a little bit, some of them are on top of the flowers, some of them are just kind of sitting there. And honestly, there's no real rhyme or reason to where I place my jewels. I just like to add them because I think it gives a lot of really beautiful shine and shimmer to the background. And on this more, not plain, but more one layered card, I did adhere a few extra gems on some of the areas where the flowers are. So like this one kind of had like little berries hanging off of it there. So I added a little jewel on each little like berry stem. And then this flower has this little stamen sticking out. So I added a few jewels onto the little stamen area, stuff like that. So I think that it adds a little bit extra when you add that glitter and shine. So I'm going to hold them up so you guys can check them out in all their glory here. See all those little jewels, see the foil in the background. And yeah, these cards were pretty easy to put together, and I think that they turned out stunning. So I would love to know what you guys think of these cards. If you'd leave me a comment down below, leave me a like, consider subscribing. There's a lot of very amazing creators on this channel, and I think that you guys should check them out and give them some love. Thank you so much, guys, and I'll see you again soon. Bye bye for now.